Welcome, busy gamers. Today we're going to be talking about Roguebook. What's good, what's bad, and that all-important question, is it worth your time? Roguebook was developed by Abrakam Entertainment and it's published by Nacon. It's a card-based roguelike that's trying to stand out in a crowded genre, and to do so it combines unique and engaging exploration mechanics, a two-hero system where positioning is key, and unique heroes and abilities. However, while it does shine in several aspects, it also falls short in others. In this review, I'll be delving into what makes Roguebook fun, but also discussing the aspect of the game that aren't. In Roguebook, you are going to take the role of 4 different heroes, which is 6 general combinations, who are now trapped in a magical tome. It contains all the history, good and bad, of the world of Faeria. Can you live out the history? Can you survive and escape? That is the purpose of this game. Now, at the time of this review, I have played Roguebook for about 28 hours. I've completed several different runs, and I've cleared epilogue challenges up to around rank 6. Now, you do also track these challenges by character, and so sometimes I got a bit distracted by going through and doing it with each of them as we went. There's still more challenge and difficulty to explore for me though, but I believe that I've seen and played the most of the combinations and strategies that the game has to offer. For the footage today, I'll try to stick mostly to earlier runs just for spoiler purposes. So what's good about Roguebook? It's got a unique map and an overworld exploration mechanic that I do truly enjoy. It's unlike most games of its type, and it doesn't just put you at the start of a branching pathway of choices that boil down to monster, boss, event, or treasure, but you're choosing based on that. It lets you take the lead and truly explore. Because of this, you'll make meaningful choices while choosing your enemies that you fight along the way, uncovering different events, hidden vendors and NPCs, and treasures such as gold or gems. Defeating enemies also does play into the exploration phase here further, as they don't just give you gold and items, but also they give you ink that you can use to fill in empty areas of the book. This effectively clears the fog of war and allows for even more exploration of the map. It's done in a few ways, with inks that reveal in straight lines radiating out from your character, inks that reveal one in a single space, or that power up your brush to reveal a large area around your character. On to the 2-hero combination and swapping mechanic that I really enjoy in this game. It stands out and it adds an additional layer of strategy. First, just having multiple heroes allows for a lot of interesting combinations and tactics, as each character balances and plays off the others differently. Then the swapping mechanism itself adds to it even further, as a lot can change based on whether you have a character in the front or the back in the overall positioning. Enemies always directly attack the front hero, so whoever you place there is automatically at risk, and you may not be able to play certain cards without changing a certain character's position. For example, many defensive cards will automatically swap you to the front. This can create some pretty interesting decision points, as my only defensive cards on a given turn might be those for my lowest health character. So do I mitigate some damage, or do I suck it up so the character who already has taken a beating gets a little bit of a break? There are also cards that benefit from the location you're in when they're played, and they're tagged with things like ranged and melee, which are probably our easiest and best examples here. They just gain cost reductions when played from the appropriate area. This leads really well into talking about the characters and the themes. Now, while it isn't the deepest, each character does have its own lore and unique mechanics. Shara, for instance, is a high damage character that gains power from standing in the front, recklessly charging in, swinging away with ever-present daggers. Sirocco is a pirate-like toad that can be played as a big defender, or he can kind of bide his time, building up to unleash single major attacks. Seifer is a dual-wielding rat with a bit of an anger issue. His skills lead to taking damage to bump his own power and attack in the form of rage. Then Aurora, is the last character you're likely to unlock, and she is a wise old turtle that fully heals once per battle, to the point that I often used her to soak up some damage. However, she has some extremely low health and lends herself to a support or backline role. She'll build up an army of frogs, then to take down and whittle down her enemies. Overall, I think this game is really well done, and it feels interesting and unique when it comes to the characters. Okay, now let's move on and talk about the meta progression. Roguebook offers a pretty satisfying meta progression system. As you play, you'll unlock new heroes, being Seifer and Aurora. You'll unlock new cards and new relics as you get experience with the characters that you're playing. So the more you play Seifer, the more cards you'll have for him, and overall you'll unlock relics by traveling and exploring throughout the map. This all adds some variety in replayability to each run, and while most roguelikes of this kind do this, I do think it's done particularly well here. It does keep the game fresh and relatively exciting for quite a while. Alright, on to my last good point here. It is that it forces you a little bit out of your comfort zone. So I am a person who likes to create a very small deck with the least amount of cards that I possibly can that does the maximum amount of effectiveness. So I'm just looking for key cards, I'm placing them in, and I'm executing a strategy. Well, in this particular game, you get bonuses, fairly major ones, per the number of cards you have in your deck. So it actually encourages you to create these larger decks. I'm not going to talk about this too much here, as it's also kind of a negative for me. But in general, I do like that it does try something different and it tries to pull me out of that habit. Okay, so what's bad about Roguebook? Fights are often fairly unpredictable and they seem imbalanced to me. While randomness is inherent in roguelikes, Roguebook occasionally suffers from inconsistent difficulty spikes. Some battles can feel unfairly challenging, which can be pretty frustrating. For example, you might go through and you might fight 3 bad guys that I can wipe out in one hit with Sirocco. He's going to basically attack all of them at once for 15 damage. I can boost him with a little bit of power and he just wipes them out. One turn, nothing else happens. Very, very easy. The very next turn, I might have enemies that start with a lot of armor and are all threatening me with 18 plus damage on the first turn. These kind of things can happen from the same type of enemy, or from the same level of enemy, shall we say, the same level of challenge on the same map. And that doesn't really feel well tuned to me. It means that I can't really plan ahead or feel that I have hit some level of difficulty check that I can just easily get around. That's not necessarily a problem, meaning I do want to be challenged, but that spike, that difference between those two battles, doesn't really feel good to me. I'll also say that I think within each hero, the main or core strategies are limited and similar from game to game. Each hero does have something that they're very good at. So for example, Sirocco, will use him again. He is a defender. He then also can build up attacks with Headbang. So basically you're dumping your extra energy into buffing his power for one major attack later. He'll then turn out this massive attack, clearing the board, and everything will be great. You can do that better and faster between different games, but that is one of his best and core strategies. So, as it stands, certain heroes can feel somewhat one-dimensional in terms of deck building options. There's also little to no ability to make small or finely tuned decks. It's something I enjoy, and while I said that it was good that it tried to push me out of my comfort zone, unlike other games where lean decks are encouraged, it does favor larger decks. This can make it challenging to streamline an overall strategy as you're taking more clutter into your deck, and you might have less enjoyable card pools, or at least I personally found it to be that way. On to the ephemeral efficiencies. There's not a lot to say here. Roguebook does do a commendable job in making its systems accessible. It has an intuitive user interface, and the game provides ample tooltips and explanation for newcomers. That being said, it doesn't do anything specifically to respect your time, and I do find the runs to be a little bit lengthy. Let's move on to the final scores. Overall, I'm going to give Roguebook a 6.5. It is overall a breath of fresh air into the world of card-based roguelikes. Its overworld map is unique, and its 2-hero swapping mechanic is excellent. It's combined with thematic heroes and meta progression that I enjoy that make it a pretty captivating experience. However, it's not without its flaws, including some unpredictable difficulty and limited deck building strategies. Despite these shortcomings though, Roguebook is well worth a play for anyone looking for this type of spin on the genre, and it is visually pretty stunning for me. I enjoyed the pages of the book. I enjoyed the way it worked. If you're a fan of this type of game, you should 100% give it a try, and it typically is worth its $25 price on Steam. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and for now, have a great time gaming. I'll see you at the next video.